Thanks for joining us tonight. We're a few days into the statewide shelter-in-place order. Now, part of the reason for that order is to allow the healthcare system to prepare for a surge in COVID-19 cases. Courtney Ann Jackson has the very latest from today's briefing with the governor.
The latest models show Mississippi is 12 days away from peak resource use related to COVID-19. Governor Tate Reeves is giving the game plan on how the state is planning to have enough resources.
A bed on its own without the proper staff is useless. And we will need coordination within the system to ensure that everyone is operating from the same playbook.
Part of the planning is an across-the-board decision on treating patients. The most critical patients
for people who with severe symptoms comes from our larger hospitals, those with large staffs, sophisticated technology, and ICU capacity.
Those who are recovering or don't need acute care.
We are working with our smaller rural hospitals to develop contracts where they would be paid by the state to house COVID-19 patients who do not require that same level of treatment. They will serve patients who are through the period of needing acute care or have not yet reached that point.
The state is also looking at 2 options for additional beds, both adding 200.
These will serve a similar need as our smaller hospitals. We are working to identify a site in North Mississippi that could handle approximately 200 additional beds. We have identified a space in South Mississippi, Camp Shelby, which is a National Guard facility outside of Hattiesburg.
While the projections are improving, Reeves doesn't want to slack up on the state plan.
I'm not telling you today that we're going to need these 200 beds in North Mississippi or these 200 beds in South Mississippi. I'm telling you that our approach is we would rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
The state isn't sticking with any one model for this planning. The governor says they actually increased the projected number of beds needed by 50% as an added cover. New tonight, an Oxford doctor who claims she was fired after raising concerns about safety of other doctors and nurses treating coronavirus patients is suing her former employer. In a lawsuit filed against Baptist Memorial Hospital North, Dr. Samantha Houston says she was fired for alleged disruptive behavior. Before her firing, Dr. Houston asked local churches and organizations to donate masks and baby monitors to help staff during the coronavirus pandemic. She also sent emails to coworkers raising concerns about the need for more personal protective equipment for some healthcare workers. Houston is seeking actual and punitive damages in the suit. We've said it before, healthcare workers are on the front lines of the COVID-19 fight, and unfortunately, they're not immune to the disease. Tonight, a Marion County nursing home worker clings to life after her daughter says she tested positive for COVID-19. Michael Clark from the CBS affiliate in Birmingham brings us more.
For around 30 years, Rose Harrison has served her community as a nurse and a healthcare worker, and now people across the country are praying for her as her family says her condition continues to decline at a Mississippi hospital. Smiles between a mother and daughter at a safe distance, just days before Amanda Williams had her life turned upside down.
She spiked a high temperature on Friday night. I took her directly to the emergency room, and by Saturday night, she was on the ventilator.
Williams says her mother, Rose Harrison, has been working at Marion Regional Nursing Home in Hamilton, caring for others on the front lines. Williams says one of the patients her mother cared for recently tested positive for coronavirus at the Marion County facility.
I want everybody to know what a wonderful woman she is, and that if she does not come through this, that she died doing exactly what she thought she had to do, and that was to take care of her patients.
Amanda Williams is also a nurse and says she's concerned other nursing homes may not be using masks and other protective equipment until it's too late.
The time that she was exposed, they weren't wearing the protective mask. They weren't required to wear the protective mask because they hadn't had a case yet. And that's one thing that I fear of other nursing homes is if you haven't had a case yet, that doesn't matter.
Williams says other caregivers and patients have been tested, and she believes nursing home leaders are waiting on results. As her mother's health continues to decline, she's asking for prayers of comfort for someone who spent her life helping others.
Mother is the absolute foundation of our family. She's been a nurse for over 30 years, a wife, a grandmother, just a wonderful mother. She has dedicated her entire life to her family and her nursing career.
Now, Amanda Williams is in touch with her mother's hospital staff in Tupelo. As soon as we learn any updates on her condition, we'll pass that to you at CBS42.com.
Definitely lifting up all of our nurses up in prayer tonight. MEMA is encouraging Mississippians to wear face masks when they go in public. The CDC says individuals who don't have symptoms of COVID-19 can still transmit the virus to others before ever showing symptoms, meaning the virus can spread between folks just by speaking, coughing, or sneezing. Now, if N95 masks are unavailable, the CDC recommends using homemade cloth masks like a t-shirt, small towel, or a scarf. You also want to include multiple layers of fabric to keep from spreading any germs, and also be sure to clean those masks daily. A University of Mississippi Medical Center's drive-up testing center will be in Eupora this week. The one-day mobile collections will be on Thursday from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. across the street from the Webster County Health Department. You have to be screened on the C Spire Health UMMC virtual COVID-19 triage telehealth app before being assigned an appointment. If you don't have a smartphone, you can call the number you see here on your screen. Appointments, they will only be given to people who are symptomatic for COVID-19 and are determined to need testing. Those being tested, you cannot leave the vehicle. UMMC will notify those tested of their results. CBS affiliate WJTV will be hosting a coronavirus town hall with Governor Tate Reeves and State Health Officer Dr. Thomas Dobbs. You can watch that event right here on WCBI. The event is airing Thursday, April 9th from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Governor Reeves and Dr. Dobbs will be answering questions from residents. To find out how you can submit a question, visit our website, WCBI.com. A woman serving 15 years for a conviction out of Lee County dies at a Jackson hospital. 40-year-old Mary Jewell died Sunday night at Merritt Health Central, that is, after becoming sick several months ago. Jewell had been hospitalized several times since December. MDOC says that Jewell had been tested for coronavirus and her results were negative. An autopsy will be done to determine her official cause of death. Jewell had been in prison since 2010. She was serving a 15-year sentence for attempted armed robbery and 2 counts of possession of a weapon by a felon in Lee County.
Temperatures right now, we are looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 60s out there in many spots. We have some extensive overcast across the region right now. Basically dry in our region. You notice how the clouds were coming on in this afternoon. Our time lapse from downtown Tupelo earlier today. Tomorrow, 70s in many spots, scattered showers and storms. Some could be locally strong, locally heavy, some heavier downpours. You can see what's going to be going on tomorrow. 70s in many spots. Today we were in the low to mid 80s, but we're going to have a disturbance move across our region right there. You can see scattered showers and storms will be around here, so a little bit different than today. We'll talk about it in detail coming up.
Winston County supervisors put a curfew in place amid the coronavirus outbreak. The curfew, it takes effect immediately and is from the hours of 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. The curfew will stay in place as long as the state is under a state of emergency or until other action is taken by the Board of Supervisors. All non-essential travel is prohibited under this new order. Violators can face a fine of up to $500. Ocklawaha County supervisors also approve a curfew for the next 30 days. Starting tonight, a curfew will be in place from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. Again, only essential travel will be allowed. You can be fined up to $1,000 or spend up to 30 days in jail. The curfew also applies to the city of Starkville. SPD will enforce it there. Tupelo transit buses will stay parked for another week. This comes after a bus driver tested positive for COVID-19 on March 28th. The extra week will allow drivers and employees another week of isolation. All vehicles and offices are being professionally cleaned and sanitized. Tupelo Transit is scheduled to reopen April 13th. Food delivery services are becoming popular options as people try to stay home, but their drivers, they have to stay safe when dropping off the goods. Our Quentin Smith talks to one service to find out how they're handling the extra precautions.
It's the start of another busy week at Lazy Guys as the orders quickly flood their inbox.
We've had a huge influx of new customers.
John Bass is the CEO and founder of Lazy Guys. They make food and personal deliveries all throughout Columbus and Starkville. In the midst of this coronavirus outbreak, he's seeing an increased need in their service. On average, Bass says they're making roughly 100 deliveries a day.
I think people just aren't comfortable getting out right now, and delivery is one of the safest options.
As drivers begin their routes, some of the ways they're making deliveries safer is by wearing face masks, gloves, and carrying hand sanitizer.
And most of our drivers are very cognizant and understand that, you know, we need to do everything we can to make customers feel comfortable using the service.
Another safety service being offered is the no contact deliveries. What this means is the driver will leave the delivery on the front steps, knock at the door to alert customers the goods are being dropped off, then they leave, avoiding any potential contact.
As soon as our driver gets started on the order, they'll generally reach out to the customer and let them know, you know, hey, this is so-and-so, I'll be taking care of you. And they can just, the customer can let them know then, okay, I prefer a no contact delivery. And then they can either pay over the phone with the card, they can leave cash out, or we can take electronic payment.
During these uncertain times, Bass says he knew they had to act quickly to implement these new measures to help keep everyone safe while still providing quality services.
You know, we saw that there was going to be a need for our service with restaurants having to go to takeout only, and we knew we were going to have to make adjustments, you know, to keep customers feeling comfortable. So it was, I mean, nothing is easy right now, but, you know, it was kind of a no-brainer what we needed to do.
Although delivery options are convenient for everyone, Bass says that this option is not being provided voluntarily, which is why customers should not be surprised if you see a delivery fee. All right, we're going to send things back over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Keith, a nice weekend, a nice day, but some showers.
Our luck is running out.
It's running out.
Hey,
that's how it always works,
You know what? We can't have sunshine and warm weather all the time.
We
right?
can't have our cake and eat it too.
We
exactly
cannot.
Right.
We are going to have some storms back into the forecast here for the next few days. Up and down temperatures, maybe some unsettled weather for the Easter chick on Sunday. We'll talk about it in your full forecast next.
WCBI First Alert AccuWeather Forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Spring has sprung, as you well know. Flowers everywhere. Our own Joey Barnes sent me these pictures tonight, or this picture right there of that rose. Roses aplenty on every rose bush right now. It is just like summer in many instances. Here's our First Alert forecast for tonight. I love Leopold just chilling there on the sofa. A chance for some showers early, a better chance for some scattered showers and storms throughout the course of the morning into the afternoon hours. I think we're in the 70s here. This particular version of Futurecast may be a little bit of aggressive action early, but I think as we go throughout the mid to late morning hours, we'll see a batch of showers and storms move on through downpours, some thunder, lightning, perhaps some gusty breezes, maybe a little bit of small hail too as this moves on through. We don't really expect a lot of severe weather potential tomorrow. Can't rule it out, though. And for the most part, we're in the 70s, but with the rain-cooled air, we could see some spots hang in the 60s during the day. If you don't see a lot of rain, you may actually perk into the mid to upper 70s. So temperatures can be all over the place here. Hard to tell exactly where this rain's going to be, but if you get underneath the big chunk of it, you may see 1 to 2+ inches of rain. If you don't see it, you may not even see hardly a trace. So that's the way it's going to be. Just a low-end severe weather threat tomorrow. Another opportunity Wednesday night and a Thursday. But overall, in the big scheme of things here in the month of April, low impact events here. That's certainly good news for the near term. So this first disturbance will move through tomorrow. Look at that. There it goes. And then we'll have a frontal boundary approach here as we get into Wednesday. We may see some storms start to bubble up during the day Wednesday. It's going to be a warm one here, 80s. But that front right there will swoop on down as we get into Wednesday night, early Thursday, 5 a.m. here. Notice how there could be a batch of showers and storms coming on in here. Those could have some gusty wind with it, but that's not a sure bet at this point. Behind it, cooler air for your Friday. We fall back into the 60s. But tomorrow, 70s, pretty good chance for some rain and storms. We're back into the mid-80s for Wednesday, back down into the 70s behind that system, that cold front, that second system coming our way. So we had a little bit of rain being detected by radar tonight. A lot of that staying in the clouds, but this disturbance goes back into Texas, and all of that will be coming our way. From Louisville, Mississippi today, a little bit of sun, and then some of that high overcast moved on in here. Same story at Durham's and Vernon. You can see the sun give way to the high overcast and a little bit of cumulus cloud action as well. Tonight down into the lower 60s, staying mild, pretty dry here, pretty quiet. 70s in our neck of the woods tomorrow. Better rain chances here. Maybe a little bit warmer farther south where it won't be as wet. Here's your AccuWeather 70 forecast. So 70s and 80s and some 70s here for the next 3 days. Mild nights in the 60s. 60s for highs Thursday or Friday rather, lows in the 40s, so a bit cool here. And for your Saturday, some afternoon showers are possible as we start the weekend. Your Easter Sunday, well, there could be some rain and storms around. We'll update that later this week.
All right, Keith, thanks so much. Well, when we come back, we separate fact from fiction when it comes to organ donation. Health Talk with Baptist is straight ahead. Welcome back, everyone. April is National Donate Life Month, and this week in Health Talk, we're looking at the facts and the myths about organ donation.
Hi, I'm Shelley Kidder, a nurse in the Education Department at Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle. I am also a first responder for Mid-South Transplant Foundation. This week, we will be discussing organ and tissue donation. More than 100,000 people in the United States are waiting for an organ transplant. Someone is added to the waiting list every 10 minutes, and about 20 people die every day waiting on an organ. It can be hard to think about what's going to happen to your body after you die, but being an organ donor is a generous and worthwhile decision that can be a lifesaver. Did you know that one donor can potentially save the lives of 8 people? Unfortunately, many people do not register due to some common myths and concerns. I want to address some of them. When you go to the hospital for treatment, the doctors focus on saving your life, not somebody else's. Organ donation is consistent with the beliefs of most major religions. Many states allow people younger than 18 to register as organ donors, but the final decision will remain with the parents and legal guardian. Organ and tissue donation does not interfere with having an open casket funeral. The donor is treated with care and respect so there are no visible signs of organ or tissue donations. Very few medical conditions automatically disqualify you from donating organs. Only medical professionals at the time of your death can determine whether your organs are suitable for transplant. If you want to be a living donor, you are no longer limited to donating only to a close family member. You can now donate a kidney, one of 2 lobes of the liver, a lung or part of a lung, part of the pancreas, or part of the intestines to a distant family member, a friend, or even a stranger. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist, as we will address other myths of organ and tissue donation.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital, Golden Triangle.
Vic Schaefer is officially a Texas Longhorn, returning home to the Lone Star State. Hear Vic's first comments to the Bulldogs fan base. That's next in sports.
Sports with Tom Ebel.
24 hours to set in. The Vic Schaefer era at Mississippi State is over. The former head Bulldogs women's basketball coach officially introduced Monday as the head coach of the Texas Longhorns. Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte says in a teleconference that Schaefer was #1 on his list after the school chose not to re-sign previous coach Karen Aston. Del Conte says Schaefer wasn't contacted until this past Friday, and 48 hours later, the deal was done. In his introductory press conference, Schaefer thanked MSU Athletics administration while also saying this to the Bulldogs fan base.
To our fan base, the Bulldog family, for their love of my family, my staff, our program, my players here at Mississippi State. This has been a great 8 years, and it has been a tremendous state. So many wonderful people. The state of Mississippi has just been tremendous for us. To my student athletes, nothing has been harder than to know that we've had our last practice together, our last competition together, our last team meal, our last travel together. I will miss you guys tremendously and will love you forever.
Another coaching search beginning for Mississippi State. Schaefer saying Monday nothing is certain as to which assistants will follow him to Texas, but Schaefer also endorsed associate head coach Johnny Harris to take over in Starkville. MUW has hired former Caledonia head boys and girls soccer coach Louis Alexander to the same position. Alexander led both programs to a combined result of 51, 31, and 7, along with 4 playoff appearances. Alexander also spent time at Starkville Academy and played 2 seasons at EMCC. In a move to combat the spread of the coronavirus, the NFL announcing the draft will go on as planned, but virtually. Team general managers and head coaches will be drafting from their homes, and the NFL states that personnel cannot gather at one person's home. The draft will go on as planned from April 23rd to the 25th. The Masters has honed in on a date for the rescheduled tournament. The chairman saying Monday, November 9th through the 15th are now the intended dates for the 2020 Masters. One of the biggest golf tournaments will now be happening deep in the middle of SEC football season. Mississippi State at Kentucky and Ole Miss at Arkansas that weekend as well. Just some hopeful thinking for you. That's it for sports. We'll be back after the break.
In case you missed it, we do have a chance for some showers and storms in the region tomorrow. I think we're mainly in the 70s here. Back into the 80s Wednesday. A few storms possible also into our early Thursday. Then we'll have some cooler 60s for our Friday. Overnight lows down into the 40s, but no freezing temperatures, which is sometimes possible around Easter. Easter Sunday, of course, coming up this Sunday. We are in the 70s, Scott, with a chance for some rain and storms.
I was going to ask, is it possible to be freezing on Easter? But I'm glad we're not.
It's happened before.
So glad it's not. Good deal. Thanks so much, Keith. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.